I think many people like kind of know about Paystack, but what can you give us the one-line explanation?
Yeah, we're a payments company. We help merchants in Africa accept payments from their customers. So businesses will connect to Paystack, and almost immediately the customers can pay them with the credit cards, debit cards, and different payment methods. I know you said one-line description, but
no, that was a perfect description.
We're currently live in Nigeria, and we're trying to just go into other markets very quickly.
Nice. Yeah. And how long you guys been around?
We launched in January 2016.
Okay. And so before that, you were also a founder, right?
Yes. I can take it back a little.
Yeah, I think you should. Yeah.
So I grew up in Lagos, Nigeria. Spent all my life there, actually. After college, I studied computer science. After college, I worked with Heineken, the beer company. I did that for 2 years. And then I left. I left because I thought I'm a maker. I should be making things.
Okay. Were you pushing code at Heineken?
No. I was a management trainee.
Oh, okay.
Exactly.
Oh, man. Okay.
So I wrote with my co-founder then, Maiwa. We thought Dropbox, that was 2007, 2008. Mm-hmm. We thought Dropbox was cloud, and cloud in emerging markets was a good concept. I don't know. I was naive, I think. And so we said, what if someone builds like a Dropbox on premise that people, you don't need cloud, you don't need broadband and all that. So we did it. We called it Picurio. We put it up on SourceForge. SourceForge was very big then. And I think it went well. We had over 200,000 companies using it. It was available in 6 languages. So it went very well. I did that for about 5 years. And then banks in Nigeria started reaching out to me to help them build software. So I built software for about 3 banks. And quickly I said, you know what? This payments, like I always knew the state of payments wasn't where it should be. But I didn't think it was going to be me. So, but just working with the banks, I don't know, I just figured, if there's someone that can figure out payments, it probably will be me, because I had built world-class software before. And now I just have access. I understand how the financial system works. So started Paystack very quickly. Spent about 1 year just doing the underground work. Had a wait list of about 300 customers, and I was calling all of them, just talking through what they wanted and building for them. Mm-hmm. And then one day, one of my friends actually sent an email, copied all the YC founders. It was late because Nigeria is 9 hours. I think it was 9 hours ahead, or 8 hours. So it was about 1 a.m. I saw that email and said, "Hey YC, blah 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 blah. But this is Paystack." He just sent that email and copied everybody, Sam, Michael, everybody. And I'm like, "What is this?" And then I slept, and then I woke up in the morning, and Michael had responded. Michael Civil, and said, "Hey Shola, tell me more about Paystack." Like, whoa. So I spent about 5 hours trying to compose the best email ever, which worked because Michael responded with another one line. So we had back and forth. They asked me to apply. I applied for YC fellowship. And I didn't get in, actually. I think it was August. So immediately they asked me to apply again for the YC. I think it was October. So I applied. Thankfully, I got in. We became the first Nigerian company to get into YC. Now I think there are over 10 other companies that have gotten in just 2 years, which is really amazing and exciting. And we launched Paystack, and it's grown so fast since we launched.
And you guys just raised again.
Yes. We just raised a Series A, $8 million from Stripe and Visa.
Man.
So, yeah.
Congrats.
Thank you.
So I think a lot of people are curious, probably from Africa, about what your YC application looked like.
Yes.
So what were your stats? What were your metrics?
And that was the first thing I released, because people... I honestly, when I started my first company, my Achyut profile, I think I opened it in 2008 or 2007. So I actually applied for YC then too, but I didn't expect to get
with your hosted Dropbox.
Yes, exactly.
Oh man, I should have looked that up.
Please do. But so I didn't expect to get into, because there was no reference, like why would the Nigerian company get into YC? But very quickly, I realized that the YC structure is actually optimized for just finding the best companies, So my application was very simple. On the interview day, I actually remember they asked us how much had we processed that month? I said $200. Like I said it shamefully. And it didn't matter, you know. Now, last month we did over $20 million. It's just 3 years, you know. So, but I think our application was really simple. It was just clear. Just wanted to say what we were.
And what you're building right now, is it basically identical to what Paystack, what the application for Paystack
exactly
was?
Nothing has changed.
Really?
Yes. It's the same vision. We knew payments was broken. I think it's still broken, but I think we've made a lot of progress just trying to figure it out.
Yeah. And how did you meet Ezra?
Oh, we went to school together. We went to Babcock University together.
Oh, okay.
And after school, we lived together. He had worked on a payments company, actually, that didn't work out. And then, you know, so when I wanted to do payments, it was obvious I had to call Ezra back.
So you just built a prototype and pitched him?
No,
What'd you do?
I built it. I actually built it. I had customers. And while I was engaging, I told you of the back and forth with Michael.
Yeah.
So one of the back and forth, Michael was saying, who else was working with me on the project? So I talked about Ezra and a few people, and we're like, you know what, is there someone that really that you can take along with you on this journey? And I was like, yeah, of course, Ezra. So I just called Ezra up. I'm like, Ezra, this makes sense. Let's do this together.
And he was like, yeah, all right.
Of course. I didn't even wait for an answer. So it sounded very obvious. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. And so,
and I think it was a very good decision because, just having two people connected with the same vision, just building this, we started moving faster and things just started getting better.
And so when you arrived, so you were in the winter 2016 batch.
2016.
So when you arrived in January, or I guess you did your interview in November or something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It was fun. It's my favorite story. Every time I talk about the Paystack story, I talk about the interview day because we got into YC. We wanted to just see what was happening. So we came in a day earlier and just came in to see what was happening. The first company I saw was someone just building kind of shed that never gets dirty. It showed us, it had like dirty water. I don't know if they got into YC, had a white shed for the water. The water, they didn't get dirty. I'm like, wow. I saw two ladies, Isono Health too. I think they got into YC. They were building a bra that detects breast cancer. You know, like, it's cool stuff.
Yeah, it's impressive.
And people were asking us, what are you guys building? We're like, we're building payments. We're building something Stripe built 8 years ago.
Yeah.
But it was fascinating for people, and people were like, wow, this is amazing. Obviously, there's so many people in Africa. There's a lot of transactions happening. If there's any team trying to figure out payments there, I want to be their friend, you know? Yeah. So we were really excited. I got at least 2 emails the night before our interview from people I met saying they thought we were building something cool. So it was really good. The next morning, just coming into the interview, we were a bit more confident.
Really? Okay. And what were the interview questions? Were they saying things like, why won't Stripe build this?
No, it was very fast. I came on, we got on a very long flight. I think it was about 22 hours just from Lagos to San Francisco.
Yeah.
And I wrote out like my notes. And I think I crammed everything. But I only practiced. It was just the first line. As I just got in, like, hey, tell us, what are you guys working on? I'm like, we're working on Paystack. It's a payments company. We've made a huge leap over what currently exists. It used to be about 7 steps before. It's now 2 steps. And they're like, show us. I'm like, oh. Yeah. So I had to just pull out a laptop, showed them. Like, wow, this is interesting. And I forgot all my talking points. So it went very fast. But it went well, I think. I remember also they asked us why we were not live. We said we just had a wait list. We were worried about fraud and all that. And they said, they don't think we should put an artificial barrier to growth. If we're growing, if people want it, then open it up.
Yeah.
Like, okay. And then so I thought like that might have been a problem, but it didn't matter. And then we got a call in the evening asking if we wanted YC to invest. Like, of course. It was very exciting actually.
Man, and then so what was it like when I don't know nearly as much as you do about the Nigerian startup scene, but like when you were just thrown in with everyone else in January.
No, it was fun. So YC is pretty much international.
For sure.
I think a lot of people don't recognize that, but we didn't feel out of place. Actually, I thought I was gonna have a problem. No, we got in. We met people from Ghana working on.
Right.
I think she's from Chicago, but like she's originally from Ghana. You know, so there's a lot of diversity in YC. So we didn't feel any.
Okay. And so then, what are there substantial differences in any element of the startup scene in Nigeria?
I think a lot.
Yeah.
I think one of the things we just saw quickly was just I'll say, I don't want to say the age, but I think in Nigeria, when I was starting up, the kind of people that were building cool stuff were really like in the 30s, in the 40s, in the 50s. So just coming here and seeing young people just doing amazing stuff, like young people that had done amazing stuff 8 years ago. Like, you know, I remember Justin Khan, for example. I remember watching Justin TV, you know, and just seeing him about 12 years of 10 years later, still have YC, still looking young. I'm like, wow, everybody's still young, you know. So I was really shocked at how much, how young everyone was, how connected everyone was. So that was shocking. I think the other thing is also just I like to say, just the quality of the advice, you know, or things are not as intuitive as they should be. Like how they say, that's my favorite, like, YC. That's the first thing I picked up. One of the first few things I picked up. Like the startups founders think they want to be the way to network. Like the way to get out there is to network and just be everywhere, you know. But the way to build a strong network is to build something impressive, you know. And just learning that very quickly made me focus, heads down, you know. And it was helpful. Now I feel like I know the people I need to know without having to just be everywhere.
Dude, so that was me in college. I was like, oh man, how do I meet all these folks?
Exactly.
And I was asking, like, you know, the handful of impressive people that I met, and they're just like, don't worry about it, just make cool stuff.
Exactly. Also, I think the long-term view was also very helpful, which helped me. I think I remember a conversation I had, I think it was Michael too, just asking about what this would look like. And he said, it takes about 7 years to build a solid startup anyway. So you're going to have to do it for a long time. And so that was really refreshing for me to say, you know, I'm not going to make it in 1 month. Like, no pressure. Let's just do it every year. This is our 3rd year now, you know. So and I'm looking forward to the next 4 years.
What does a payments market look like in Nigeria? Like, how much is cash? How much is card? How does it go?
It's a lot of cash. So I would say Nigeria's GDP is about $500 billion.
Okay.
Consumer spending is about $150 billion.
Okay. And the population's like 200 million?
About 200 million, yeah. So, but just less than 2% of consumer spending is spent with cards, you know. And even more, a lot of that is just people using their cards at the ATM to get cash out so they can spend it. So so I think it's still very, very early.
Yeah.
There's a lot of transactions happening. Most of them are still happening offline, but online transactions are kicking off. New business models are being created, and it's getting obvious that digital payments will win. So there's a company called Buy Power, I think they're in YC too. They're selling electricity online. They use Paystack. Before them, you would have had to go buy electricity like at a store.
Yeah.
But if your electricity goes off at 9 p.m. on a Friday night, then you have to wait till Monday morning. That doesn't make sense, you know. So, but just the fact that you can pay digitally means you can always have electricity. You know? And there are multiple business models like that. Making it very easy for people to do things. So I think, and people are realizing this, smartphone adoption is increasing, mobile penetration is increasing, you know, so I think it's a good time. It was really a good time. Everything is picking up and we're just there, just trying to connect the consumers with the merchants and remove all the friction. Because I think, and just to say why Paystack is extremely interesting.
Yeah.
I think before now, a lot of the payments infrastructure was built for enterprise companies. And of course, enterprise companies like complexity. I don't know why. So just detangling all that and just keeping things simple was the first thing we had to do. Make it easy for businesses to start accepting payments, figure out the cards infrastructure, understand why things are, why they are, and doing all that. So yeah.
And in terms of your growth, are you trying to incentivize more businesses to pay to figure out a card system? Like, what do you do?
So I will say we've been overwhelmed. Like, we haven't, since we launched Paystack that day, January 11th. I can't forget the day, 2016. It's been like we've not had time to even think. But a few things we're doing very well. Number one, we know that. We see these transactions, we see what is missing, we see what's wrong. So we think the first thing to do is to make sure that transactions can happen, transactions can be successful, which we're doing. The next thing is also just ensuring that the customer experience is good enough. If someone is trying to pay, we have to make that payment happen as soon as it can. If someone has a dispute, we have to figure it out. So we started building. We're the first company, I think we're still the only company that has like an automated dispute process and all that. So because everything is connected, we tell ourselves that if someone has a problem with a transaction, that's someone that will never trust digital payments again. So we don't take it lightly. We try our best to make sure we can make it work. So so I would say in the short term, half of our strategy is just making it work. Now,
that's a good tip for every product.
The other half is building a community around our merchants. We think the ideal Paystack merchant, we know why people are using Paystack. We know people want to start and scale businesses. So how can we help them do this? We know just having a community, helping them with tools, with content, with events. Last month we had an event with Facebook, just teaching people how to sell on Instagram, so, and that's on one hand. We have multiple things we do in the community. It's really make it work and build a community around the businesses so that it will be easy for people to start and scale their businesses. Okay.
Is there an average type of business that you guys are?
Now, no, because we have little, like we have people just starting out, people building side projects. On one hand, on the other hand, we have airlines. We have an airline. We have tax collections. We have bus ticketing. So we have I think that's the beauty of payments. Everybody is affected. And in fact, the bigger you are, the bigger the pain. So, it's exciting,
man. And so, in terms of your growth over the past few years, were there particular features that made a big impact in your growth rate?
I wouldn't say so. I think it's still the same, just making it work. And even our customers have been growing themselves. So when I was doing the fundraisers, I had time to look at the data.
Yeah, of course.
I saw that the first cohort that launched in Q1 2016, by Q4 2017, they were doing 30x their volumes. I was even the lowest because other cohorts are even growing faster. So like the businesses themselves are early. And everybody's growing at the same time. So I think it's really exciting.
Wow. And so man, when it comes to like expanding to other countries in Africa, I assume, and then
definitely Africa.
Definitely Africa. Okay.
Yes.
Do you just assume that their economies function in similar ways to Nigeria's, or do you have to get someone on the ground to figure it all out? How do you do it?
Oh, I think it's two ways. So the first part is every day we get people just ping us and say, when are you coming to Ghana? When are you coming to Morocco? When are you coming here? So there's that. And there's the fact that we know that this problem is like continent wide, and we know what we've built can work because payments is really simple. Well, I hope. But like the way we think about Paystack, it's like a full stack payments. What happens before the payments? What happens during the payments and after? So we've spent a lot of time thinking about this, and these things work the same way in these markets. The part that just changes is the local context. But I will admit that Africa is really, really interesting. My favorite expansion story. I used to be very excited that, we're just going to scale across Africa. And then there was an opportunity to go to Egypt, Cairo, actually. And we got to Cairo, and went with my friend. We got to the airport. We called an Uber, I think it was Uber or Karim. And then it occurred to us that the Uber, the plate number was in Arabic. Cars are in Arabic. And I can't read Arabic. I can't tell which is my Uber. So it was like, oh yeah, I'm not going to be the one to launch Paystack here. So that was really exciting to hear. But like you said, I think finding the right people to help us figure this out will be very helpful. That's one of the reasons why, in just thinking about that Series A, we had to think about companies that have figured out scale. Companies like Stripe, companies like Visa. Like if there's a company, the companies that have thought about moving payments from one place to another, it's these companies. And so we're like really, really going to have to learn how to do this in another country. But we made a lot of progress with Ghana, which is really close to Nigeria.
Okay.
But I think as we go to other countries, it will even be more difficult. But the good thing is we understand this. We're ready to learn. We're ready for the challenge. This is why we created the company. And that is why when people say, oh, why won't an international company just come to Africa? Because it's very difficult. This local context is difficult. And it really takes a team that believes that this is why they're here. This is why we created the company, So we're really willing to do the work, and hopefully we'll see what will come out.
So when it comes to scaling up, like what does your team look like? Are you hiring people exclusively from Visa, or what do you do?
No. So let's talking about team. That's like my greatest problem now. I'm like, I used to read a lot about when this was the CEO's work, always be hiring and all that. Like I didn't realize that. I used to wonder why will the CEO be trying to hire? But now it's so that's the only thing in my head. So I will say right now we have about 36 people. This time last year probably was about 15. 2 years ago it was about 5. So it's been very interesting. We have so many problems being thrown at us across all corners. Right now I'm actively looking for senior engineers to help us figure some of these things out. I think it's a typical thing that happens in a startup where you don't really optimize for so far down. You've built it, but now you're having millions and millions of records in your DB, and you're wondering, should I switch it? But you can't even switch because there are more problems coming. So and there's still more things to build, everything. So it takes some skill and some experience to figure some of these things out, and just actively looking for people that are really ready for that challenge because it's not easy to just come help us figure some of these things out.
My understanding is that you're looking for people from anywhere in the world to come.
Yes. I think my goal, my vision is to build the best talent in Africa. I think there's so many talented people in Africa, and we want to have them around building for us, but also understand very clearly that because of where we're going to, we need some help. We need people that have done these things before to show us some of these things. I want to set a standard for engineering culture in Africa. But how would I do that if I don't know, if we haven't seen how it's done elsewhere?
Okay.
We think the best case scenario for us is, can we find the very best people in the world, irrespective of where they're from? Can they come spend time with us, about a year or more? Can they upskill people? Can we learn from them? For every one person we get, that's about 20 people that will be upskilled or even more, So how can we find these people? How can we learn from them? How can we become better than them?
Yeah.
And all that, because I think there's a lot happening, the startups actually that do that now, but for us, in fact, we've thought about creating a boot camp. Can we find someone to help us run a boot camp, to just internal boot camp, just help us upskill people? Because the problems are there. The real problem is, do we have enough people that have the right experience to fix it?
Yeah.
And we can't, I run this company on Google. I search, how do you do this? How do you do that? But I think at some point it will get more difficult to do that. So, is there someone that can just be inside and just help us figure some of these things?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You can definitely email anyone who's done YC before, but even that,
but and also the YC community has been extremely, extremely helpful. That's the best part of YC. I thought the best part of YC was going through YC. Which, okay, at every point in my career in Paystack, I've always thought the best part of YC was something else. So at the beginning, I thought the best part of YC was the 120K. But very quickly, I saw that the best part of YC was YC. And then later, and now I think the best part of YC is just Bookface. Just passively seeing conversations happening. And so some of the times when I see some of these things, I'm like, oh, I saw this. Someone talked about this 3 months ago. Yeah. Can I search for it? Can I see the responses? So it's just, it feels like I'm building a company with about 1,000 other people, so it feels like, I don't know, it's really exciting.
No, I mean, everyone's in the same struggle. So they're just happy because everyone's been helped out so many times.
Exactly. No, the network is really amazing. And like you said, everybody's helpful, helping. Sometimes I wonder, does this person really need to help me? Well, yeah, I think so.
Yeah, man. And when you were talking about building a boot camp, are there boot camps?
There's a company doing it very well. Andela, I think they're doing very well. They find the best people.
Oh, okay.
And they do it for 4 years. But I like that model. I think that will scale in the long term. But what I think at Paystack now, what I was saying is, can we find the best engineers locally?
Yeah.
And can we find someone that can help us make them can we find good engineers and turn them to great and amazing engineers in as short as possible, as short as 3 months? Because I know with engineering, some things you just have to have seen the problems before. You can't really anticipate some things, So just having a 10x engineer just sit with a team of 5 engineers, I think it helps everybody.
Yeah. It's an interesting idea because it's actually a common complaint I've heard that companies get a lot of junior, great JavaScript engineers and they can make all kinds of blogs.
Yes.
But doing the more complicated stuff, it's harder to find those people.
Exactly. And I agree. I agree completely. And and I think the earlier we start figuring this out, the better, because I don't think our problems will reduce. I think it's going to get more complicated. It's going to get more difficult. So it's really just, I hope we can take on this challenge. I hope we can find the right people. But if there's anyone listening, if there's anyone interested in just the challenge of building in Africa, building some of the best, just working with the payments infrastructure in Africa, building for some of the best businesses in Africa, please reach out to me. And we're willing to even help with the experience, just give very good experience living in Lagos, help with logistics, help with accommodation, help them even travel, see the continent, So it's going to be a good offer. But we just think can we find the best people?
Yeah.
Can we figure some of these problems out as soon as we can? And can we just help businesses start and scale?
I think it's awesome. Yeah. You got a ton of questions. People seem very excited to talk to you.
Time?
Yeah, we'll make it happen. So I want to make sure I give them credit, but someone asked about crypto. People have talked about, as crypto exploded in the past couple of years, maybe it's in these less developed markets that it'll really take hold. What's, you're on the ground, what's actually happening?
I think there's a lot of activity happening. I would admit that most of the activity is around trading, people are buying and selling very quickly. I think the right use cases are still just being formed. So I haven't I think the right use cases is just still being formed, but right now there's a lot of trading activity happening.
Okay. Yeah. So many people, it seems like from Nigeria, are also asking you questions. Okay. And then some of them, let's just start with the basic stuff. So Creative Joe, their question is, how difficult is it to get into YC? What do you think about that?
I think how easy is it to get into YC if you have a good business? I think the YC process, I used to think it was difficult too. I think the YC process actually selects the right people. I don't know how to explain that, but if you have all the right components, it's extremely easy. I think the hard work is, can you clearly articulate how impressive your business is? Can you just even explain what you're doing, and can they understand what you're saying? So
and were there certain things that, maybe this was in fundraising too, where you felt that you had to educate US investors about the market?
A lot of times. I think it is what it is. Yes. But I think the right investors, they know what to look out for. And that's what makes YC exciting. I told you, I was just processing $200 and they didn't mind.
Is that good?
The questions were around other things. Can you build it? Why will you be the one to build it? What is your experience? And all that. So I think YC is in that bucket of sophisticated investors that know the right questions to ask. So even if they don't have the local context, they know what to look out for. So, which is good. That's why I think it is relatively easy. I think founders need to focus on building the businesses such that when the opportunities come, it becomes easy for them to take advantage of those opportunities.
Mm-hmm. I think in large part, people are looking for cheat codes, and the only cheat code is to make something great.
Exactly. Make something people want.
Yeah. All right. So Paul Israel, he asks, what gaps do you think still exist in the Nigerian fintech space?
Whoa. I think there's still a lot. I think just Nigeria, like we said, is very big. Financial services in Nigeria is very big. So I think there's still a lot. I think there's some opportunity for credit scoring. I know a few people are doing that now, but there's some opportunity there. There's still no Cash App, Venmo. There's something around. I know that there are also things happening there, but there's still no. So I will say across all financial services industries, it's still hard to say this is the winner. So I would say, because there's still no clear winner in all parts, there are multiple opportunities.
All right. Nelson asks, are there any conventional startup pieces of advice that did not work for Paystack as their target market is in Africa?
That's a good question. Well, I think I would say I think generally I've found the advice I received here actually more useful, because I think building a business is building a business. Building a business is hard everywhere. So and I think that's the hardest part for me, finding people, building the business. What should you be doing? What are your priorities and all that? So, and I think that's constant wherever you are.
Okay.
So I would say this. I haven't seen anything that didn't really work. I haven't. Okay. Maybe some things around fundraising. I think things are more difficult, I would say, but I think the principles are still the same.
Yeah, I must have been in some other interview I heard with you, but you were kind of talking about the psychology there, but more people were telling you you couldn't do
exactly. Yeah. That's it exactly. So and I think I talked about it just coming here. The psychology is, and I think that's changing now. 2 years later, I think it has changed. But 2 years ago, when I tell people I'm building a payments company, like people laughed at me, like, like how your competition is a 14-year-old company that has $1 billion, what $1 billion. Like, who are you? Like, I got a lot of that. And I'm sure people still get it that, why will you be the one to figure this out? But I think that mindset is changing now. If there's a team that is focused on solving a problem, it's getting easier for them to just get access to whatever they need, So I think that's helpful. So that mindset is changing. I think with companies like Paystack and a lot of other companies in different industries, just breaking some of these barriers, I think it's getting easier for other people, So yeah.
Yeah, man, you're leading the way. For better or worse. Yeah. Nelson had another question that I thought was interesting. What are some of the most important lessons you've learned while building Paystack?
Wow, a lot.
Yeah.
I think, okay. That's a very good question. I think your team is very important. I think it's tied to the first question around how that courage, like people will worry, like who are you? How would you figure this out? But just in building Paystack, I've seen that you can be courageous, like just pick a big problem and solve it, but you won't be the one to solve it yourself. Like you're going to have to find the right team to help you figure this out, So just learn that quickly. Like, can I find people better than me? And I switched into that mode maybe 1 month into Paystack, like 1 month into IC, and everybody that has joined the team has been better than me because I started doing everything: customer success, front end, back end, design, everything on my own.
Fundraising, yeah.
Exactly. So but like just started disconnecting that and finding the best people that can do it better than me. I think just learning that has really helped. I think that's one. And then number two, I think is just around. I think there's an ecosystem available. Like so, don't try to do it yourself. Just can you learn how to use the ecosystem to solve some of the problems you have.
And do you think you fundraised at the right time?
So every time we fundraise, like it came at us, like we never. So this fundraise, for example, should have just started now. Actually, it was September. That was when we set it up for. Because I had a conversation. I said I wanted to do it earlier in the year. I went to Atrium School, so just got into that mode very quickly and saw that okay, I can spend the rest of the year just building up for like a September fundraise.
Yeah.
And then things just happened very quickly. Yeah. So that's it.
It just happened.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Let's do another Nelson question. Yeah. They ask, what are some applications you would love to see built on top of Paystack?
Wow. That's So I think I would definitely love to see like a P2P payments. So something like Cash App will be interesting. I think something for businesses too. I really love. So before Paystack, while I was figuring out Paystack, I really wanted to build something like Rex actually, which is like expenses, employee expenses and all that. I really, really wanted to build that, but I thought that the foundational infrastructure wasn't even there. So we have to start from like collections and disbursements. Okay. So if someone can build something for like expense management and all that, I think that'll be exciting on Paystack. In fact, I had a name for it, Expendly or something like that. I think I still have the domain.
So the domain
if you want it, I can give it to you. So just a few things. Like
okay. What about the market in general? Because of all the startups that exist in the States, for example, like what would you love to see over there?
Interesting. That's a big question.
Yeah.
So I think, wow. Yeah. So I would say actually that most of these startups already exist in some way. Form. Exactly.
Yeah, in some country.
Just maybe not at the scale it's like being executed here. I was excited to see that we are the ones building Stripe because I spent about 3 or 4 years just following Stripe, like all their blog posts, everything on their documentation and all that. So I'm excited. But other than that, I think most of the other companies have some form.
Okay.
Built maybe something like Apple, which is not too,
make your own phones.
Maybe something around phones, something around games, something around, But I would say most of the things have some form.
Okay, because there were a handful of questions around just like how the market in Africa is maturing. Like what's the state of the infrastructure? Okay,
so I will say this is a very exciting time to be building for Africa.
Okay,
I think because there's a very young population. I think for context, this is going to be very interesting. I don't have the numbers on my head, but I think in 1960, Nigeria's population was about 45 million. Italy's population was about 45 million, I think. And just going through 40 years or 45 years, Nigeria is at 200 million. Italy is probably still about 60 million or 40. It's still in that range, So and this is not just Nigeria. Countries are moving very fast. Like in the next 5 years, I think Nigeria is going to be even more than the US. So the population is young, active, like they have access to phones and all that. So if this is the right time to build for these people, so I think the market is just getting there, and some foundational things are now being built. So the payments layer has been figured out now.
Yeah,
the logistics layer has been figured out now.
Well, what does that look like? Is there a train network? What's a road situation? What does it look like?
Well, there's like I think there's a road network.
Well, I mean, what quality are we talking about? Like,
I'm ashamed to say that, but I think it can definitely be better, especially in Nigeria and Lagos. But I think the company's figuring it out. The exciting thing is about
it's happening.
Can we just go against the constraints? Can we even if the roads are bad, can we find the best ways to just solve the problem? So I think the interesting company is figuring out logistics. 3-hour logistics is a company called Max ING, I think. So I would say, so it's getting easier. People are figuring out payments. People are figuring out logistics. People are figuring out housing. And so whatever you want to build on top of this is going to become easier.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Nestor Ezeagu. Is that a Nigerian name? Can you pronounce that one?
Ezeagu.
Ezeagu. All right, there you
go.
Do you think something like GoFundMe could work in Nigeria?
Yeah, there's multiple sites like that. There's a company called Donate NG, I think, already working. Yeah, I think it can work. Like anything can work.
Anything can work.
Exactly.
Boom. Easy.
Yes.
This next one, Joyy asked, can I receive payments on an MVP e-commerce website before registering a company? Is that a specific question?
We just launched. So when we launched Paystack, you had to be a registered business to use Paystack.
Okay.
But we just launched something earlier in the year called Starter Businesses. So yes, you can register a business with your personal details. So there's something called the BVN now, which is the biometric verification number that everybody has.
Okay.
So it's made it easy for us to just identify people. So just talking about the former question about how things are changing also. So the identity infrastructure is just being built. So imagine how long ago you guys at the US had the social security number, and now just 3 or 4 years into a BVN, which is not really a direct comparison, but is the closest we have to identifying people,
And so now in other words, you connect a personal checking account or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. We can just get your BVN and we get your details. We can verify that. And then we can allow you to accept payments for, I think, up to about $3,000. And then after that, you have to register the business.
All right. So the answer is yes.
Yes, exactly. And we got it a lot. That's why we launched the starter business account.
Oh, right on.
Yes.
Achyut Shrestha, man. Here's another. Is that a Nigerian name?
No, it's not.
All right, great. All right. Achyut Shrestha asks, What's your tech stack?
Yeah, so it's a lot of Node.js, and sitting on AWS. We have Vue.js. We have some Angular on the front end. Yeah. We have some 1 or 2 PHP services.
Oh, okay.
I think we have 1 or 2 Python services. So, yeah.
So,
but it's primarily Node.js.
Okay. Modern internet.
Yes,
yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Jordan Jackson is curious about the biggest cultural differences that you account for in product design and user interface.
Okay. That's a very good question. So I think early this came at us very quickly, like when we designed our checkout form and we had like CVV, blah blah blah.
Yeah,
and we were like, what? Like, or the even expiry date. You know how in the US you just put like DDMM or something like that.
Yeah.
MMYY.
Yeah.
And people were putting the date of birth. Like, and I'm saying this because for most people, not most people, when we started with early adopters, but we moved quickly from early adopters to people that were using the card for the first time online on Paystack. Like the first time you're using a card in your life.
Whoa.
Online is on Paystack. So
yeah.
We don't take that lightly. Like we have to do all it takes to make sure that when you're making that payment, when you hear CVV, you've never heard CVV before.
That's totally fair.
Exactly. So you have to like make it easy, you know. So I think that's like so designing the UX has been like, can we build from first principles? Can we realize that some of these people, this is their first payments they will ever make online, you know? How can we make it easy for them to use? And I think
so what are like the affordances that you put in there, right? Is it like a video showing this is what that is, or
it's some like just we've played around with it. It's a lot around tooltips, to be honest. A lot around moving things around very quickly for them. So just helping them move to the next level and showing them what it is. So it's showing like having a diagram of the back of the card. Yeah. For example. Yeah.
And do you have to what's the average internet speed? Is it similar to the States, or what?
I think it's fair. It's
it is. Okay.
It works. Like now I can't tell where I'm browsing if I'm in the US or I'm in Lagos, to be honest. There's also a YC company, Zeti. Figure it out. Wi-Fi. So, and that's the point. Like people are building stuff, solving all those problems. So it's there are no problems again. Okay. Well, there are problems, but people are making progress and trying to figure out.
That's cool. So you haven't had to do any crazy hacks around like latency or Wi-Fi internet speed or anything like that?
I will say we have. Okay. Because also when you're designing for like multiple people, you have to figure multiple things out. You know, in fact, very quickly we moved past paying with cards because not everybody wants to pay with a card. So we allowed people to pay directly with their bank accounts. We allowed people to pay with USSD. USSD is, I don't know the full video. Well, it's something like *737. Like you dial a code on your phone.
Okay, and it's connected to your
something data.
It's connected to your mobile billing.
Your mobile phone. No, not really. Like it's connected to your bank.
So you connect with your phone provider, your bank account, and then you can pay through that.
Exactly, something like that. So just realizing that people are different. Yeah. I think very interesting thing about Africa and Nigeria specifically is how different. There are about 250 tribes, you know, so it's different, like 250 languages, more than 250 languages, you know. So when you're figuring some of these things out, of course, the language is English, but the cultural, like you have to just design for everybody, inclusion, you know. So, but it's exciting. I think these are some of the things. That's why we know that we're in a good business. We know that this is going to be a lot of work, but we're going to do the work. We'll figure it out and we'll make it work.
Man, total tangent. Are your family members as happy as you are? Like it's like smiley. And...
I think they're happier. Oh, really? I used to be happier than this, but I started facing everything. But I think things are really, really exciting. I think 5 years ago, this was my dream. Like to just be able to figure stuff out, to have like without excuses. Like now, I'm in a bad place. I say it because I don't have excuses. Like, it was easy to have excuses. I say, oh, we don't have money. Oh, it's hard to raise money. I don't have people. I don't have. Now I have money. Well, a little money.
Some money, yeah.
A strong team. I have very good people supporting us. I have access. We have regulatory cover. We have everything. So the only thing we have to do is just build, which is bad. So it's just really like, we have to build. There are no excuses. And I'm excited, to be honest, because I know like this is just going to go as far as we want it to go. Yeah.
Yeah. And how do you keep yourself sane?
Well, well, I think also just like moving. So I travel a lot for work.
Okay.
But it helps me because like when I'm in Lagos, like I'm just doing meetings back to back. When I come to maybe San Francisco, switches to just coffee meetings and all that. When I go somewhere else, like switches again. So I'm able to switch it up like very quickly. So maybe and then when I'm flying, I sleep. So
one of those guys.
So that's the act breaking like jet lag. I just sleep all through the flight.
Sleep
so
the whole way.
Whenever I get back, I'm awake.
Were there it's funny, like the excuses you may have had 5 years ago. Are there any elements of your life 5 years ago that you miss now that you're a busy founder guy?
To be honest, I think it's just like building deeper relationships, you know. So I was flying in today, for example, and I just wanted to like catch up on like my messages.
Yeah.
When I looked at it and it was so overwhelming, I'm like, no, I can't catch up. No, I'm not doing this again, you know. So I think just I could be very deep before. Now I still have a few deep relationships, but 5 years ago I could like really spend more time with people and all that. I wish I still, and I hope I will start doing more of that. That's why I'm looking for just more people to help me figure some of these things out. But I think that's it. But thankfully, I think people understand. My friends understand, and so the little opportunities we have, we just catch up very quickly. Yeah.
Do you find time to like exercise or go on dates or anything like that?
I'm married actually, so that's good. But I exercise. People would agree with me. I don't know. I try to want to exercise. I don't really exercise when I'm in Lagos, but maybe when I'm out of town,
So it's like 100% work all the time, and that's cool with you. That works.
Not well, about 99% work.
Wow. And you've been doing it for years.
I think there are phases to this, to be honest. I think we're just at this very crazy phase now.
Yeah.
And I recognize that my health is also very important. So, and I tell my team to like, feel free to like just stop. You know, there's some meetings I actually stop and just text and say, you know, I'm sorry, I can't make this meeting. I just can't, you know. So sometimes I do that where I just give up and just
tap out.
Exactly. I can't do this again. But like, and then once I get my energy back, I continue. Yeah.
Okay. So in terms of your personal and Paystack's growth, where do you want to be in 5 years?
Wow, that's interesting. I think with Paystack specifically, I think the payments problem is still very big. I think 5 years down the line, and I think there's so many businesses, there's so many people building interesting stuff in Africa. You know, I want to look at the next 5 years and see Paystack actually helping these people figure some of these things out. You know, so I want to see the very successful companies over the next 5 years being supported, being helped, being powered by Paystack. I think that's going to be exciting for me. You know? Because they're going to be winners in Africa, and I really want to be the one powering these winners. So that's it. I think. Yeah.
Okay.
And I think if Paystack is successful, obviously, I probably hope I will be successful.
You're around.
Too.
Yeah. And then personally,
so like my personal goals are really tied to the company's goals. I just want to see this work. I want to help. Not even help. I just want to do my work, and I know that in just doing my work, a new generation of people are going to be able to do their own work.
Yeah.
So I'm in a very interesting, I'm in a very interesting place. Yeah.
Dang. All right, man. The question I've been wondering this whole time might be my last one. Is like, I want some music recommendations from Africa. What's like
easy,
what's like the good stuff?
I went to Vietnam actually,
Nice.
and I was thinking about it that if I ever stop doing Paystack, I'll have to be a DJ. Because it's so easy to be an African DJ, just soco. Like the songs are very easy. So I'll just answer.
Just send me like a playlist or
exactly.
something. Yeah.
So I think it's just Wizkid, Davido. It's a very popular artist and they're very interesting songs. Tiwa Savage, Duncan Mighty. Yeah, I don't know. Like the Nigerian music scene is really exciting.
Man, the whole African music scene is fucking awesome. I just discovered this like I think it's called Analog Africa. It's this YouTube channel that's just like pulling all of these like LPs from the 60s and 70s and putting it up. They have some like even some like black and white like music videos that are so good.
Yeah, I love it. I get inspired by just listening to some of these songs.
Yeah,
like,
man.
Wow, these guys are doing well. If you're doing well in music, then let's do this in tech.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Has the festival scene taken like a hold there as well?
Well, I think a lot of things happen in December. I think that's the period when there's a lot of
really
activity. So so if you want to visit Lagos,
wasn't there some like African Burning Man thing too?
Well, I don't know. Maybe there is.
Yeah,
maybe I don't know. Yeah.
All right, man. So if someone wants to come work for you guys, where should they go?
I think because it's very urgent now, just reach out to me directly. On Twitter, Shola, Scholzman on Twitter, but send us an email actually. Or you can just send me an email, shola@paystack.com. And say you heard this. You heard the YC podcast. But looking for the best people to just help us figure this out.
Right on, man. All right. Well, thanks for coming in.
Thanks so much. Had a good time.